Proteins are large complex molecules essential for the structure and function of cells, tissues, and organ and living organisms. They are made up of amino acids, which are organic compounds containing carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur. The sequence of amino acids determines a protein's structure and function. Proteins play crucial roles in various biological processes, such as, first, we have structural support. Proteins provide structural support to cells and tissues. Collagen, for example, is a protein that forms the structural framework of connective tissues like skin, tendons, and bones. Second, we have enzymes. Many proteins function as enzymes, facilitating chemical reactions within cells. Enzymes act as catalysts speeding up reactions that are essential for metabolism and other cellular processes. Third, we have transport proteins. Proteins are involved in the transport of molecules across cell membrane. Hemoglobin found in red blood cells transport oxygens from the lungs to other parts of the body. Fourth, we have immune system. Antibodies are proteins that play a crucial role in the immune system by recognizing and neutralizing foreign substances such as bacteria and viruses. Fifth, we have hormones. Some proteins like insulin act as hormones regulating various ecological processes such as glucose metabolism. Sixth, we have motion. Proteins such as actin and myosin are essential for muscle contraction and movement. Lastly, we have cell signaling. Proteins participating in cell signaling pathways, transmitting signals within and between cells to regulate various cellular activities. Protein synthesis occurs in cells through a process called translation, where the information encoded in DNA is transcribed into messenger RNA, and then translated into a specific sequence of amino acids, forming a protein. Proteins are obtained from the diet, and different sources provide various types and combination of amino acids. A balanced and diverse diet is crucial to ensure the body has an adequate supply of all essential amino acids for protein synthesis and overall health.
Polypeptide chains are synthesized by linking together amino acids. A protein is created when one or more of these chains fold in a specific way. Methane is substituted by amino acids with hydrogen, amino groups, carboxyl groups, and the variable R group filling in the first three valencies of the alpha carbon. There are many sorts of amino acids depending on the R group, and the polypeptide chains contain 20 of them. The final structure and the purpose of the proteins are
Polymeric chain of amino acid residues constitutes proteins. A protein structure is primarily made up of long chains of amino acids. The arrangement and placement of amino acids give protein certain characteristics. All amino acid molecules contain an amino and a carboxyl functional group, hence the name amino acid.
And now let's talk about functions of proteins. The body uses proteins for a variety of purposes, and their structure determines how they work. Several notable functions include: number 1, digestion. The digestive enzymes, which are primarily proteinaceous in origin, carry out digestion. So, proteins play an important role in digestion by using digestive enzymes such as pepsin, trypsin, and chymotrypsin. These are proteins that are responsible for the breakdown of dietary proteins into amino acids, and amino acids are essential for the repair and improving muscle strength. Number 2, movement. Muscles include a protein called myosin, which helps muscles contract, allowing for movement. So, proteins are also essential for locomotion and includes a protein called myosin, which helps to contract muscle, generating the needed force for muscle movement. Number 3, structure and support. The structural protein known as keratin is what gives humans and other animals hair, nails, and horns. So, proteins are also needed for the rigidity and strength of tissues such as the protein called keratin, which give humans but also other animals hair, nails, and other outer layer of the skin. Number 4, cellular communication. Through receptors on their surface, cells can communicate with other cells and the outside world. These receptors are made out of proteins. So, proteins has a various importance and includes helping communication in the body, such as kinesis, which helps to transmit signals from one cell to the other by adding or removing phosphate groups from the other proteins, and G proteins that plays a many different roles signaling pathways that regulate various bodily functions. And finally, 5. Acts as a messenger. These proteins serve as chemical messengers that facilitate communication among cells, tissues, and organs. So, proteins can be also act as chemical messengers that carry communications in cells, tissues, and organs. These chemical proteins are hormones and neurotransmitters. In essence, proteins are the molecular workhorses of life, participating in an array of functions that collectively ensure the proper functioning, structure, and communication within living organisms.
Types of protein structure. Primary. The primary structure of a protein is the linear polypeptide chain formed by the amino acids in a particular sequence. Changing the position of even a single amino acid will result in a different chain and hence a different protein. Primary structure unique sequence of amino acids is a polypeptide chain. It is primary structure. For example, the pancreatic hormone insulin has two polypeptide chains, A and B, and they are linked together by disulfide bonds. The N-terminal amino acids of the A chain is where the C-terminal amino acid is asparagine style sequence of acids in the A and B chains are unique to insulin. Secondary. The secondary structure of a protein is formed by the hydrogen bonding in the polypeptide chain. These bonds cause the chain to fold and coil into two different conformation known as the A helix or beta-pleated sheet. The A helix is like a single spiral and is formed by the hydrogen bonding between every port and amino acids. The beta-pleated sheet is formed by hydrogen bonding between two or more adjacent polypeptide chains. The A helix and beta-pleated sheets are secondary structure of protein that form because of hydrogen bonding between carbonyl and amino groups in the peptide backbone. Certain amino acids have a propensity to form an A helix while others have a propensity to form a beta-pleated sheet. Tertiary. The tertiary structure is the final three-dimensional shape acquired by the polypeptide chain under the attractive and repulsive forces of the different R groups of the each amino acid. This is called structure that is very necessary for protein function. The nature of the R groups found in amino acids involved can counteract the formation of the hydrogen bonds. Described for a standard secondary structure, for example, R groups with like charges are repelled by each other and those with unlike charges are attracted to each other. When protein folding takes place, the hydrophobic R groups of nonpolar amino acids lay in the interior of the protein, whereas the hydrophilic R groups lay on the outside. The former types of interaction are also known as hydrophobic interaction. Quaternary. This structure is exhibited only by those proteins which have multiple polypeptide chains combined to form a large complex. The individual chains are then called subunits. In nature, some proteins are formed from several polypeptides, and the interaction of the subunits form this quaternary structure. Weak interaction between the subunits help stabilize the overall structure. For example, insulin has combination of hydrogen bonds and disulfide bonds that cause it to be mostly clumped into a ball shape. Insulin starts out as a single polypeptide and loses.
So now let's move on in classification of protein. There are two types of classification of protein. First, based on function of protein. Second, based on chemical nature of protein. We have 8 groups classification of protein in function of protein. First, structural protein. Second, catalytic protein, transport protein, hormonal protein, contractile protein, storage protein, genetic protein, and last defense protein. So what is structural protein? Structural protein are protein responsible for providing support and shape to the cell and tissues. Example niya ay yung keratin, sa buhok yun, tapos sa kuko. Tapos yung collagen naman sa bone. Catalytic protein. Catalytic protein are enzyme that speed up chemical reaction. Example niya ay yung enzyme nga. Transport protein. Transport protein are protein that transport substances across biological membrane. Example niya ay hemoglobin tsaka albumin. Hormonal protein. Hormonal protein is a type of protein whose molecules are formed by amino acid. Example niya yung insulin tsaka growth ng hormone. Contractile protein. Contractile protein are group of protein responsible for contractile and movement of muscle in the living organism. Example niya yung actin tsaka myosin. Storage protein is a type of protein that is stored inside cells and tissue as a food and can be assembled when needed to provide energy. Genetic protein. A genetic protein is a protein that interact with DNA sequences and genes and control its transcription. Example niya ay yung nucleoprotein. Defense protein. Synthesis and release into circulation increase in the response to trauma and inhalation stimulus. Example niya ay immunoglobulins tsaka snake venom. Sa defense protein naman, meron tayong two types, antibodies and defensins. Antibodies protein produced by immune system that attach to antigens to remove them from the body. Defensin, small site-enriched cationic protein found in vertebrate and invertebrate animal, plant, and fungi. And now, let's move on classification of protein based on chemical nature of protein, the second type of classification of protein. There are three types of classification based on chemical nature of protein. First, simple protein. Second, conjugated protein. And last, derived protein. Simple protein. Simple protein are protein that are made up of amino acid only and no other chemical group is attached to them. There are 6 groups in simple protein. First, albumin, globulin, protamine, histamine, proline, and last, gluterin. Albumin. Albumin is a protein that's soluble in water and coagulable by heat. Globulin. Globulin is a simple globulin protein which cannot be dissolved in pure water but which can be dissolved if a salt added to the water. Protamine. Protamine is a simple alkaline protein usually occurring in combination with a nucleic acid as a nucleoprotein. Prolamine. Any of certain seed protein known as globulin that are insoluble in water but soluble in water and not all mixture. Glutein. Glutein is a class of prolamine protein found in the endosperm of certain seed in the grass family. While conjugated protein is a protein which another chemical group or molecule has been attached. And last, derived protein, or protein that are obtained from simple or conjugated protein by partial or complete hydrolysis.